Good day and welcome back. This is the old Hobo channel, and a few things have happened since the last video, which was December 2020. This is now July 2021. I'm going to try and just bring folks up to date on what's been done, and maybe I'll try and add in some details after the fact. Just on the outside here, I'll just point out a few things. One of the big issues turned out when starting the motor and so on, finding I just didn't have good control of the throttle or the shift. And, I made sure all the mechanisms were good here and everything was fine, but really it looked like the cables were just a little worn and sticky and gummy. I tried lubricating, cleaning. I just broke down and bought new cables. And that helped a tiny bit, but that wasn't the answer. I'll show you what the solution was to get rid of the old control box as well. This is the original OMC control box. And I got an aftermarket clone. So I got that. And then with this, everything's perfect then. Shifting and throttle control. Only problem is the new boxes, when you buy them, have different, well, you can see I cut off the cable here, but they take different electrical harness. I was too cheap. I did not want to buy a new 20 foot electrical harness, so I basically re-terminated it, and that was a whole exercise in itself. I'll show you some of the connectors that have to be used, and there was some fussing about with figuring out wire colors, electrical diagrams, and some wires that didn't exactly match to the book. Something says it's supposed to be purple, but it's purple, a slightly odd shade of purple, or something's supposed to have a stripe and it doesn't. So you can't read this, but I had to make a whole thing about what were the OMC cable colors, and then transition to the plug that I had on the new controller. Then I had devices added in. There's a horn for a warning horn, what color were the wires there, the tack wires, and then the actual, there's a whole schmozzle, and you learn about basically all the wires have different control functions. You can see you've got the horn for warning horn, the tack, speed signal, low voltage signal, and the mag kill circuit for safety. You've got a neutral start safety switch, basically, your ground keyed accessory positive. Basically, you turn the key on, you get power, and that can power things like your tack needs power and other things. Small amount of accessories can be run off the motor, and the battery has continuous power here, and you've got a choke and primer circuit. Just one thing that I found out in starting the motor is right off I somehow blew a fuse, and there is a fuse in here. That's the fuse holder right there, and no start for the start solenoid. So got that changed. Bought some spare fuses. It's a little glass fuse. I was going to change it over to an automotive type, but I ended up buying a packet of glass fuses, and that's okay. Other thing I found out, and I had this trouble before, but the motor would not kill. When I had to stop it, I try and cover up the intake, and with a piece of rubber and a board, it still would suck enough air, it just would not quit. The motor runs very well. It runs at idle, it runs at full speed. Like I cleaned the carbs and bowls and everything before, and everything's really nice. It runs well. It's hard to kill. So I have to end up disconnecting the fuel, in which case it just idles on for 5 more minutes until it finally dies. And of course, when I'm running it, I have water muff on here, so I'm supplying water, and it's peeing out here. I had to repair a hose for that. But anyhow, long and short was, the reason it wouldn't kill is there's a damaged wire here from this CDI, capacitive discharge ignition module. I had to replace that. That's about $100, and everything's fine now. So the motor really works well, and I'm quite pleased. The controls work well, and I'll show you what else I've done inside. While we're outside, sorry to point out something here. Here's a Garmin transducer, and that is for the sonar, depth finder, and so on. I'll show you that inside. We've got that. Yeah, I think that's all that's new on the outside. So we'll step along inside. I don't know if I showed this in the last video, but I cut and fit some carpet there. And there's a little bit of rubber, stuff like that. Okay, we'll go inside.